This is our lovely vacation home panel 2021. You know, there's nothing like a virus to spur home sales in one of the toughest real estate niches, which is vacation homes. Vacation homes are discretionary purchases. They're homes that are bought just for fun, and they're used on average about 50 days of the year. But COVID forced more people into the roominess of their second homes, especially if the primary home was in a large, dense urban city or high-rise. Now, from the National Association of Realtors, we learned that in 2020, vacation home sales rose 16.4%, outpacing the growth in total existing home sales of 5.6%. In 2020, the median existing home sales price typically rose by 14.2% in vacation home counties compared to only 10% in non-vacation home counties. And the COVID-induced pandemic and quarantine sent families with assets to buying a vacation home property, and in fact, sometimes making it into a primary home, which gave us a lot of stories to write about, like how vacation home communities were kind of in conflict there for a while with seasonal owners, you know, wanting to keep them out to prevent the spread of COVID. So, you know, it's kind of like nothing like a good virus to ruin the neighborhood, right? But since March of 2020, home values have been climbing in seasonal towns across the U.S. So the median sales price in seasonal towns grew 21% year over year to $420,000. We define, by the way, a seasonal town as a town where more than 30% of the housing stock is used for seasonal, recreational, or occasional housing purposes. So, not to keep on talking about stats, but to get to this fabulous panel. This is actually, I think, one of the best panels we've ever had because they've had a banner year of sales. So I'm going to let them talk a little bit about their community. And we have some really interesting representatives here who I think you're going to love. So right over here is my darling Britt Havard, who I know from the Alpine Mountain Ranch and Resort. So you tell us all about it, and then we'll go on to Whitney.
Okay, well, thank you, Candy, and it's great to be here. So my name's Britt Havard. I'm the Director of Marketing at Alpine Mountain Ranch and Club in beautiful Steamboat Springs, Colorado. We are a boutique luxury ranch that only has 63 5-acre home sites, and we have achieved incredible growth over the past year. In 2020, we had 5 lot sales. Our lots are priced around $2.5 to $3 million and up. 2021, we're 18 sales on those lots with the price increasing to date. So I'm going to share with you guys a little bit more about the trends that are taking place in the resort market areas of Colorado and why a little sleepier town like Steamboat Springs is kind of the new hot game in town, like some of the other players like an Aspen or a Telluride. And it's not just because everybody started watching Yellowstone, I swear. Other trends are there. But I'll pass it over to Whitney on my left.
The Whitney is with Pacaso, which is a really cool new way to own luxury vacation home ownership, right?
Yes, thank you. It's great to be with everyone today. So I'm Whitney Curry from Pacaso. I lead marketing at the company as the Chief Marketing Officer. And you may or may not have heard yet of Pacaso. So I will explain a little bit of how we're approaching our business. Pacaso is a service that helps families co-own luxury second homes. And we do that by selling 1/8 ownership in these homes. And you may be thinking, is this new or is this not new? And let me tell you that the idea of co-ownership is actually really not new. It's been around for decades and generations. Think about, maybe a group of siblings who inherit a home and own it together in an LLC. That's co-ownership. Think about your friends who you always, kick the tires. Wouldn't it be great if we had a lake house together in, insert your favorite local lake? That's co-ownership when you own that together. So the idea has been around for a while, but frankly, when you do it on your own, it's quite challenging. Usually DIY co-ownership either ends in headache or heartache because there's a lot of personal relationships involved. So what Pacaso is doing is coming and taking care of all that stuff that you don't want to think about. Design, financing, the legal, scheduling, we do all of that so you just can simply show up and enjoy your second home.
Isn't that, it's fabulous. And I'm so excited to dig into that a little bit more. Stacy Hamilton is next. She is from an incredible property called Alys Beach on the west coast of Florida in the Panhandle. And I have been there and I've seen the light and it's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yes, hi, I'm Stacy Hamilton. I'm the VP of Marketing and Communications for Alys Beach. We are a new urbanist master plan community in the Florida Panhandle, so we're about complete opposite from Miami where we are right now. We're closer to the Alabama line, but we were established in 2004. We are owned by the EBSCO company in Birmingham. We're their only development. They have a lot of other business units, but this was kind of a personal choice. The family bought this land in the 70s for $1.5 million and now has developed these 158 acres into, like Candy said, a beautiful, stunning destination. It's all white stucco. It's inspired by Bermuda and the courtyards of Antigua, Guatemala. Our sales have been just astronomical. We'll talk a little bit more, but just last year in 2019, we signed 41 contracts, and that was our best year ever so far. In 2020, we jumped to 143 sales, and in this year we're at 123. So last year, and the 143 sales equaled $423 million.
Oh my God.
So it's really been a unique experience. Most of our homeowners are from the Southeast. We're definitely a drive market for Atlanta, Nashville, New Orleans, lots of Dallas and Houston. That's how Candy.
And a lot of Dallas celebrities have homes there too.
That is true. So anyway, so we're a great destination in the Florida Panhandle, mainly for the Southeast.
It's so fabulous. It's great. And now we're going to hear from another very interesting person who you may have met before here at NAREE, Glenn Phillips. He is a broker in a very unique niche again, but he only does lake homes, but across the United States, which was a very interesting, ambitious thing to take on, and he's been very successful at it. And where's the magazine? They're coming out with a magazine now called Lake Homes. You've got it right there. He'll show it to us, and there it is. And tell us a little bit about your company and how busy you've been.
Yeah. So we're a highly virtual but focused on full-service real estate brokerage. We operate wholly owned brokerage operations in 35 states. We're still plugging it in. Some of those states, we have a lot more agents than others, but the agents on our website, lakehomes.com, are ours. We could have renamed our website when COVID hit from lakehomes.com to get the hell out of the cityhomes.com. Our web traffic just took off, but we had, even with a brief lull before it took off, 2020 over 2019, we had, without adding a lot of agents during that period, had 65% year-over-year growth on our revenue, or about 25% we're projecting this year over the prior. But that's actually not because we're not doing well, and there's a ton of interest. It's a lack of inventory, and that we've not been able to go out and recruit our agents, which we need a high-performing agent. We want as few agents as possible, put our tech and marketing. In many ways, we're a tech marketing company, and our converter to revenue is brokerage services. And so we have a lot of access. In some ways, I say we're Moneyball for real estate, where we're very data and analytics driven. And some of you we've worked with before on stories because we have access to make a comparative of how a market near you or where your people live. If you don't have lakes, the people in your city live there and go to some lake somewhere. We actually know a lot about those people and about you.
It's amazing. So my first question is, did you guys have a good business year or what? It was pretty good.
Yes.
So now, one of your major concerns I'd like to talk about is you've got to flip to no longer marketing properties, but actually finding inventory. How challenging is that, and what are you doing to do it? I mean, how are you finding inventory?
As of this morning, I think we checked, Diana, we have the only inventory we have right now. We have no developer properties at all. We have one resale home, and we have 3 home sites, and that's it.
So how are you going to find more?
Well, we're accelerating our planning. So our planning and construction teams are working 24/7 to try to identify, areas that perhaps we were going to release 3 years from now. Now we're trying to get them out by next summer. So we're having to push everything up, but that's a challenge in itself because you've got to deal with your contractors, your subcontractors, line up all the tradespeople, and then just because the town is growing so quickly and there's so much going on, it's the parking, the laydown yards. That's the struggles that we're seeing as a result of having to push things up as fast as possible.
So Britt, can you make more land?
Can't make more land, Candy, but if we could, Alpine Mountain Ranch and Club is the most stunning place you can ever imagine. But, I really think that, we're all on the vacation second home panel. Everybody's doing well. But what I really discovered is kind of like a unique trend that, of course, we're all doing well because of the result of this global pandemic, where luxury buyers are fleeing dense urban city centers and they're seeking open space and room to roam with their families. And so it's kind of like natural that the whole vacation market is going to be on the up. But I think a really unique trend that we're witnessing in Colorado in the resort areas is almost this like changing notion of what world class means to luxury buyers. And I think that's kind of a result of the pandemic. We used to have, some of the highest wealth profiles clamoring to get into markets like Aspen and Vail and, hobnobbing at white glove service country clubs and being on top of each other at trendy restaurants. But what we're really finding in a place like Steamboat, which was really more of a hamburger town than a steak town, is that the really affluent buyers with high wealth profiles are now discovering Steamboat Springs is the place they want to be. That's the last undiscovered resort town in Colorado, in a place that offers this notion of authentic luxury, which has really changed from the glam in some of the other markets to being what they really perceive as like world class, and they'll pay any price to get it.
Okay, get your Twitter going. New word, coin, new phrase, authentic luxury. I love that.
Authentic
It's
luxury
so cool.
is the name of the game in the resort market.
And really, Steamboat is like, I remember we went to like a rodeo there. It's very, it's luxurious, but it's also very reachable and family. And I think that's kind of what you're saying is where we've gone with this pandemic, because we don't want to necessarily have the ritzy glitzy, nightclub scene. We want like just family, have fun,
They still want to
clean
have fun. They want to gather. They want to drink. They want to have access to unique experiences, but they want to do it with their core group.
Right.
And it's been popular. What about you, Whitney? What do you think?
Well, it's because you lobbed me a softball there, Brittany. Thank you. Thank you for that, because we're seeing a similar insight. We really didn't talk about this beforehand.
No.
And we actually have a report coming out on this tomorrow. So if anyone wants it under embargo, let me know. I'm happy to give you access. But it's looking at mortgage rate lock data, and that is the leading indicator of second home purchases. And so the report that Pacaso is releasing looks at the hot markets by state. And let me tell you, I've previewed the report, and it's a lot of the markets just like Steamboat areas that you think, oh, I've heard of that, but it's not the marquee destination, and that's because one, folks, oftentimes are priced out now, or they're wanting a little bit more space and the opportunity to have a larger home or have more amenities or a larger lot. So I would say that's very much rings true as well. And in terms of having to create more land, I don't have superpowers to do that either. But Pacaso is now in 30 markets across the globe. We're an international business. We have, a presence in Spain. We'll actively be expanding internationally, and then are in the 29 markets in the United States. And so our acquisition strategy is a blend of both automated, AI plus humans. Humans plus computer is the winning combination. And so we work really closely with teams on the ground, local insight, as well as data science to help inform where we can make the most, intelligent buying decisions that align with how the market's performing and buyer demand in our pipeline.
Well, in fact, Whitney, when I got off the plane in Miami at the MIA, the first thing I saw was that little kiosk, and I was like, yes, that's a Pacaso kiosk. Does that work, and is that expensive?
Yeah, well, you remembered the brand and the company, and hopefully you visited the website as well. So yes, we are certainly advertising. If you've not seen our advertising in your market, you may in the near future, and it has been an effective strategy at raising brand awareness. We're still a relatively new company. We launched in 2020, so
And by the way, one of your number one investors is Spencer Raskoff, who was the investor behind Zillow, correct?
Spencer is more than that. He's a co-founder.
The co-founder.
And Spencer was also involved with myself and many others on the founding team at Zillow.
Yeah.
You mentioned the magazine. With our website, we really can generate very targeted engagement for home buyers. Most of our traffic to our website that make requests are home buyers. So the magazine is not a listing magazine. They'd be outdated anyways. This is something that we're sending to lake home owners. We're actually building a team. This is our test one to do this quarterly, so that we're starting to build that relationship that we are the brand, the specialist for this type of property. It's nice that you have a friend, but if you're selling a lake home in an area, that if you're not selling the neighbors, then it becomes a crapshoot. So we want to be very engaged with them. We're also doing a series of videos where we're wanting to move into a consultative role, that these lake homes are discretionary, but they are still a financial investment. And our idea is that there are plenty of great brokers in the markets, and we work with them, but there are also plenty of people in real estate that struggle, like get a listing because they're a friend, but they don't know how to market a home in one part of the country when the buyers for all of these things are from somewhere else. So our goal is a long-term, multi-year engagement to build inventory where the position we want is to remove the social engagement. It's kind of like saying you have a custom-built sports car, and your best friends may be the best Ford dealer in town and the best Chevy dealer in the state. But at some point, they may even go, look, you're going to need to talk to the specialty sports car dealer to get the best buyer who's probably from somewhere else. And it may even relieve some of that social engagement. So we're doing videos and consultative work about when is the right timing for your investment. If you think you're going to exit your home now in the next 2 years, you need to be thinking about it more proactively than we're going to live in it for 10. Just kick back and enjoy it. But do a consultative role through the whole process so they time their exit well.
How hard is it to get financing for these homes, for second homes? I know some of your properties are probably, you don't have to ask that question because they can pay cash or whatever, but do you guys have any like little secrets that you know about that we should know about?
65% of our buyers pay cash. Those that don't pay cash, we almost never have a deal fall through because of financing. If it's a discretionary thing, I think you'll find it all these.
We're at about 75% cash.
Yeah, and those that do, in fact, one of the interesting anomalies with our financial advisors is that should inflation really take off, and that we do see anecdotally, and we don't have the data enough to track it, is that some people with money may want to get a mortgage at such low interest rates because if there's a flip and inflation takes off, it's one of the better stable savings accounts. You're going to be paying off a low, cheap mortgage with cheaper and cheaper dollars over time. And if not, you can just pay it off. But take your cash and put it in higher yield returns when money's almost free.
Interesting.
Candy, can I add one thing?
Yeah, please do.
Fun. So Pacaso's business model is co-ownership. If anyone in this room today wanted to co-own with a group of friends, pick whoever you want for your dream home, and you went to a bank, they would say, we are not here to support you because it is not a standard mortgage product. And so one of the benefits that we offer our buyers is integrated financing. Pacaso has secured deals with leading financial institutions so that we have integrated financing that runs right through. So we are the only place where you can secure with ease a mortgage for your co-ownership property. And then if you're feeling innovative and you are into crypto, we now also accept cryptocurrency.
Whoa.
Lots of options.
That's very cool.
Sounds like that's actually a really important part of the business model.
Right.
It is, and it's been an interesting source of buyer demand as well. There's a lot of wealth in crypto, and we've been able to really have material conversations with a whole new sphere of potential buyers with that. We partnered with
Absolutely.
BitPay on that.
A lot of Silicon Valley folks. So now, what are the interest rates on that? Are they, pretty competitive?
I didn't look today. Around 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah.
That's so. Do you guys actually have your own
yes.
competitive? So you have your own financing kind of built in, baked right in.
We work with leading institutions like First Republic Bank and others on financing.
Now, my understanding too, and I want to also make this really clear, that this is completely different from the old timeshares or any. This is full 100% ownership, but it's shared with others. So you could actually will these, put these in your will. You know, I'm old, so I think about this kind of stuff, you know. Put it in your will or something, you know, leave it to the good kids or leave it to the dogs. You know, you could transfer that, right?
Well, Candy just said the four-letter word of time share, and you know, for me, time can be a bit of a four-letter word.
Yes, absolutely.
Our business model is not about sharing time; it's about sharing ownership. Our owners own the underlying real estate. They are not purchasing the right to use time in a resort complex. Instead, they own the underlying real estate in a unique single-family home that's one of a kind. When you're purchasing a timeshare, I'm sure we can look out the window and maybe we see one here. Who knows what's in these buildings?
Yes.
There's dozens and dozens of other units that are the same. Partial ocean view, 2-bed, 1-bath. With Pacaso, every home is unique. And that is also really core to our ability for our owners to resell with ease. After 12 months, you could resell, list your home for sale on the MLS at a price of your choosing. And on average, we've seen our Pacasos sell in less than 10 days for a 10% gain. So the
Wow.
ability to have that smooth exit is very different from timeshare, as well as that you own the underlying real estate. When the home closes, the ownership group, which is on average 5 up to 8 families, own 100% of the property. Pacaso is simply their program manager at that point. So it's their asset, and they can do what they choose with it: sell, maintain ownership.
That's interesting. Now, when they all own this, and you say the most that can own is 8 people or families?
Yes, that's
Yes. And how many days do you get?
So if you purchase 1/8 ownership, which is our kind of lowest unit, that equates to about 6 weeks each year.
Oh, 6 weeks. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and on average, even with the pandemic, people are using their second home about 5 to 6 weeks each year. So it really aligns with the amount of time in actuality that you end up going to the same home, same destination.
It's so interesting to do that. So I was going to ask you all, what age groups are buying these lake homes and these beach homes and these beautiful homes in Colorado and the homes there? Are you finding a specific age group, or is it all over?
Our median age is 54.
Okay.
Most have children in the household and/or grandchildren, so we see a lot of multi-generational purchases: grandparents, parents, kids. So yeah, 54 is our median age.
54. Is that
And that's just, I think, last time we did that survey, it was like 52, so it hasn't changed much.
No, you've had a lot of skiers. So do you have a younger
We have a
crowd?
lot of skiers, but again, with Steamboat Springs being a community that offers really everything, the sense of community, excellent schools, you know, we do have ski and ski out opportunities at our social club connected to the golf course, but we find it's a lot of people that want a smattering of opportunities. You know, we have some owners that are into fly fishing, other owners that are interested in our equestrian pursuits, but not people that are only coming to ski. And it's pretty interesting that, you know, our lots are around $3 million. Home sales, you know, start at around $7 million and go up from there. But we're getting the tech folks in with their 3 young kids from LA that want their kids to kind of grow up with a, you know, Colorado lifestyle and embracing the outdoors. So it's just kind of cool that, you know, we're seeing like a demographic that's not just certainly just wealthy retirees, but really a mix of families that have young children that are falling in love with that lifestyle.
Tell me about, you had the little hut where you could camp out. Do you still have that?
Yeah, and it goes back to this authentic luxury. It's creating experiences for people that are intoxicating, and it doesn't have to be glitz and glamour. But yes, we've got a backcountry hut called the Hermitage,
Yeah.
where we'll literally throw snowshoes on a family, have some tunes going, and arrive at this little backcountry hut with, you know, wine and cheese and a roaring fire. And it's like memories like that are what last in
Exactly.
affluent buyers' minds and makes them want to come back and share that with their family. But yeah, I think it's also important to really think about, we all know the going is going great right now, but looking ahead to the future. And, you know, one interesting kind of case I wanted to share with you guys, more like a story, is that here we are, we're this itty bitty 63 lot boutique ranch. practically half sold out overnight with this result of the global pandemic. But, we've got 13 lots that hadn't been released yet, and some developers will do it in stages, so this is kind of the final stage where we're hoping to achieve like our highest price point. But it's been really kind of a conundrum, like, do we list those lots now while the market's hot and we can sell them quickly for $3.5 million, or do you wait till Q4 of 2022 and there's so limited inventory everywhere, we sell them for $6 million and kind of create like an Aspen overnight? But we've really debated back and forth about that internally quite a bit, and we've decided to go ahead and start selling them now because we don't know what the market's going to do. We anticipate it will soften a little, but these are kind of, I think it's really important to look ahead of the future because, good now, but where are things going to go?
How long have y'all been in operation?
So we bought the lot, we're 2014, so we had a few high home sales, like 1.8 million for lots, went into a long period of stagnation, and only in the past, 4 years has the uptick really started. But again, this overnight success, 56% sold out, is definitely a result of this global pandemic and vacation second home bonanza.
I mean, I'm going to we talked on the phone last year in 2020. We were all freaking out. We had canceled our trip to Barcelona, and everyone was like, oh my God. We were all in that boat, like, what is happening? We're all staying home, It's kind of a weird 9/11-esque, sort of thing. And we talked on the phone, and Britt said, oh my God, are we ever going to sell lots again? And what did I tell you? I said, I think you're going to sell lots like pancakes, like hotcakes. I said, get ready, because everyone's going to want to get into the country and get out of these urban environments. And then I couldn't talk to her on the phone. She was so busy. It just kept going.
Andy, in 2 years, it's so busy, but
so busy. Are you guys, any of you, like freaking out about the baby boomers going away? Because I know that the baby boomers have been a huge market, a big, buying market. And we hear these stories that, Gen X and Z and whatever you call the new ones, don't buy as much, and aren't into real estate. Are you freaking out about that at all? No?
Not really, not right now.
As a broker, so they're selling properties, and of course, I don't know the extent that the future may do resale, even if y'all be involved in the fractional resales to help them. I would hope so. I would think that'd be valuable to your model. In our case, though, we're interested in transactions, whether it's buying or selling. Buying these properties is like a business. Literally, it's an investment, and everybody exits from a business or an investment sooner or later. And the role of a brokerage is to buy and sell. We want, real estate brokerage want transaction flow. So if somebody, we do see populations where these are older lake developments in different parts of the country, where they've gotten dated, it's an older population, and these folks are selling to go back where they came from, where their family is for their last years. And that's creating some inventory, and not to sound morbid about it, but it's just a natural part of life. My mom's an RN, she goes, this is life, this is normal.
Right. Oh, we talked about this at dinner last night. I forgot to mention this in the green room, but I know a lot of folks, when they buy their second home, they want to make sure they've got good medical facilities nearby, because you want to be in the woods and all that, but not when you have a heart attack, right? That is not a cool place to be. So you want to make sure you've got some sort of a.
We have markets where it was a hospital with a 24-hour emergency room was close by. It's actually not on we're updating our website, and it won't be in the first iteration, but we're doing the data collection to give per property sometime next year an estimated drive time to the closest 24-hour emergency room per property, because it matters to that group.
Right. So that's going to be
Sounds morbid for a luxury property.
It is morbid, but it's kind of like what people will look like. How close are you to a school, or how close are you to a ventilator or something, So a totally different way of doing it. So what I know you've got great hospitals in like Panama City or nearby, right?
The Destin area, Panama City Beach. But it is a topic. I'm part of a group called the 30A Alliance, and it's a lot of master plan communities on this 30A scenic highway that we're all located on. And healthcare is one of that top conversations that we all have, the access to it.
Right.
As more and more people are spending more and more time in their second homes, the expectation is there.
They want the good health, because I know some people, that's why they go back to their original community, or go back to their children, so they can have the physicians and, health healthcare that they are used to, but they can make that transition if they find, good responsive healthcare nearby. And of course, you've got Steamboat. I remember we saw the hospital there. It's beautiful and it's state of the art.
Story, Candy.
I know. What's it?
Senior entry.
Yeah.
I think, location is everything. It relates to medical, lifestyle opportunities. People want the whole package. One little interesting story about kind of luxury buyers and what they really want right now that kind of has changed in the last year. So in 2020, I mentioned we had 5 home site sales for approximately $3 million on average per lot. And we immediately ramped up our on-site design build company. We've got our own construction team on site. So we can design and build your house A to Z, or we'll let people bring their own architect and builder in. And all 5 of those contracts that we got in 2020, they all used us to do their design build because they wanted it done right now, and they saw that as the fastest way they could get it done. And those folks we kind of targeted, and they were in the $20 million net worth. And so, as I mentioned previously, we really attracted buyers with higher wealth profiles. So we decided, let's start marketing to the 60 million net worth buyer, and we achieved that. A lot of our buyers, 18 sales this year, are those buyers. But the interesting thing that we saw is that they no longer were knocking our door down to use us to design build. They actually want the very, very best. They want the architect with a huge name. They want to show off to their friends and get their home in Architectural Digest, and they're willing to wait for it. So I thought that was really interesting when buyers were kind of clamoring to get their luxury home built as fast as possible. And today you're seeing that the really affluent buyers are willing to wait to have the highest and best.
Well, those are the guys who have 5 homes.
How long does it typically take y'all from contract signed to completion when they're walking through the front door?
18 months.
18 months?
18 months.
And we do have a couple market homes or homes on speculation that are all priced around $7 million as well. To me, that was so interesting that nowadays they're willing to wait for the very best. They don't feel pressured by the time.
Yeah.
Like you said, it probably is their third or fourth home, and they're not pressured like they were in 2020.
It's interesting, our business is quite different in that 65% of Pacaso owners are first-time second home owners, and 2/3 are people of color or people who are LGBTQ+. And we think that's awesome. We love that this co-ownership model is opening up the doors to second home ownership, something that's previously been frankly quite elite,
Yes.
to a whole new
You're democratizing it.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, that feels great. That's very on mission for us. And when they're able to purchase and move into a home that is ready on day one and fully furnished. And so it's just a degree of ease, and you know exactly what you're getting as you're purchasing it. So that's been interesting for that value proposition, aligning with folks who are comfortable with the sharing economy and ready to have their chance to try out something that they previously thought, this might not be for me, or this will be for me when I retire. Now that dream can be pulled forward into the now.
It's fast, and I bet a lot of folks will, buy these homes, and then they may fall in love with the community, sell off their portion, and buy maybe a whole ownership in that community. Have you ever seen? You've had that happen?
That's part of our value proposition to agents. This is a wonderful way for you to generate referrals of people who are going to stay in your network. We had someone who purchased a quarter ownership in a property in Napa, and then found a whole home that they loved, but then just went from a quarter to an eighth, and then is going to have friends and family. We'll just have more properties for people to kind of come in and out of thinking about using. So that was a perfect example of what you just shared.
Well, I've always thought that real estate should let you try on houses. I mean, we can try on clothes, right? And then we can return them. I know houses are a little more expensive, but why not try before you buy? I think that's always been kind of a sort of something that I thought would be fun to do. And of course, Stacy,
Well, I was going to say, if I may, that's kind of a nice segue what you just said there. We have a vacation rental program that we manage on site.
Okay.
And so it's almost like a try before you buy.
Yes.
So our goal is to attract, the vacation rental program is designed to attract potential home buyers. So we're not really interested in being a true resort hospitality experience, although we deliver that level of service and, meet those expectations. But, our goal in our vacation rental program, being able to manage it, is to attract the right people into the community. And so so we're able to maintain rate integrity. We're able to react to situations and problems, whereas lots of other master plan communities in our area let other vacation rental property companies, so it's just a mixed bag of mom and pop operations and big national organizations. And so keeping ours proprietary has been really, really important to us to kind of maintain that Alys Beach brand and the expectation.
Interesting. Now, this is something that I don't think we've ever talked about before, but there is a whole kind of subculture that grows. I call it peripheral services that grow around vacation homes and vacation home communities. For example, I'm getting a lot of press releases recently from people who they'll manage vacation homes, and they will take care of the vacation home when, you're out of town, and they will stock it, for you. And there's house managers and then the repair guys. Let's talk about that for a minute. This has really created a lot of jobs and employment opportunities around this industry. Can you guys just comment on that?
I can't. Well, we've watched this in a lot of our markets. Pre-COVID and everything, now we've moved into a gig economy. When we first got in, we brought on some brokers who had rentals as sort of piece of that, and they had other things. One of the things we quickly learned in all these markets is that if you're going to do it, you need to do it on scale, and you need to not be outsourcing. I think even Zillow revealed when they killed the iBuyer program, trying to deal with subcontractors that weren't their people was one of the challenges. What we've seen in the lake markets through the years is that there is a lot of service offerings, but very few of them last and have traction. They appeal to the people who are there, but they're not, so it's very rare we see those stick and have time over. If you want to be in the rental management business at most lakes, it's probably best that you own the team that does the cleaning. It's not like cleaning condos. Cleaning a 7-bedroom, 8-bath lake house, and the next house is 30 minutes away. That's not the same thing as cleaning a set of condos.
Right.
Yeah,
So do you
have those services in-house?
You brought them in-house?
We have a property inspection program, so we'll change your AC filters, we'll check on your pool. So we have housekeeping, town operations, maintenance, so all of that is handled in-house.
Where it's happening is probably developments more like these, particularly the big developments who bring this as part of an amenity package within what they're doing, and it may be rolled into some other fees. Because there's an interest in it, but it's very challenging in the different geography and lakes, because even we have lakes that on one end are urban and the other end they're rural. And so this one lake is not even, I had a gentleman ask me at a non-real estate business function, we're buying our first lake home, what's the best lake? And I shouldn't have said it, but I went, well, it's kind of like asking me what's the best woman. It's kind of a personal choice, and you need to go date some and go try them and visit them. And it was a snarky answer, but it turned out it was factually pretty accurate, because even one side of a lake can be different from the other side.
Yeah.
One stretch of beach, one area of mountain is a different life experience, a different quality, and the geography changes it. The water level at one end of a lake will be different than another.
That's one of our lakes east of Dallas, Cedar Creek. There's kind of like good end and the bad end.
Yeah, we're in that market.
The first time I saw Cedar Creek, it was very low, and there were these things sticking out of the water, and I said, well, what are those? Trees.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, because I'm used to a lot of water.
If you're a skier, you're not as excited. If you're a fisherman, you're delighted.
You're delighted, exactly. So I'm going to ask you, what is the best lake?
I must take the fifth on that one.
Top five maybe?
Here's the funny part. We were brought in this business by investment bankers. I'm the CEO and the lead economic analyst. Doris oversees our brokerage operations across the country, is our COO. We're married, and we don't own a lake home. But we go to one it's pure about convenience. We do stay at one that is fast enough that we can go on the weekend and get back and forth, because our business is growing so fast. It's kind of like we can't leave the toddler at home. We've got to go. We'll get there, and we have some that we've eyeballed, but that may change.
But in general, do you find that every state has maybe their more favorite lakes? So
it's an interesting question that I thought about actually in the last 24 hours about what is a hot market. I've seen this through the comments here about which markets have any type of like what is hot, and I think we're looking at the wrong math. In fact, when I get back, I'm going to get our data team to pull some data differently. So, a lot of you've gotten the links. We do these lake market reports of what's the listings we've got sold that we digest for you if you don't have to dig through the data. We work with a lot of reporters on that. But I think one of the things I'm going to have to look back is we're going to take our, you can have a market where there's intense buyer interest who are really willing, ready, able, and funded to buy. And there's so few things that are everything appropriate price is gone. Very little's coming on the market. And yet if you only look at transactions, you go, well, that's not a very hot market. No, it's a hot market. It just doesn't have the converter. So one of the things I'm going to do, if you're interested, there's contact info. I think Bill sent that out. I'm going to have our data team go back and look at our website traffic, which is several, I think will be about 8 or 9 million lake home buyers this year, and look at where are they hitting per available or unavailable listings, or market size, not transaction volume, because transaction volume in a super low inventory market in anything is not a correct indicator of a hot market. It's simply one that had the fuel to convert. There are hotter markets that don't have the transactions, and they look like they're not hot, and they're just waiting for tender.
I see. Okay, I was going to take a poll, and if you guys can participate if you want. So which state is losing the most citizens, California or Illinois? Or maybe there's a third one. What do you guys think?
California?
New York, California. I mean, I'm from Texas, so, that's all we get is, Californians and stuff. So I think, what do you think?
This isn't one of the metrics that we track formally, so I
Okay.
can't
I
speak.
know,
but
that was just a guess.
Yeah, if I was just purely guessing personally, I would say California. but
California?
I don't know.
Okay.
And I'll go Chicago, Illinois, because I know we have a lot of buyers, like Texas, Florida, Chicago, and New York and Boston are our top feeder markets. But we've got several owners from Chicago that left because of race riots and just were, major families in the area and wanted to move. And Steamboat has now actually become, what was their vacation home or second home is become their primary residence. So
Exactly.
that's my guess.
I know. Well, why would they leave Florida, though? That's what I understand. I mean, maybe that's a second home, because I think Florida's great.
Oh, I know, because
Yeah.
they turn the AC up so high in these buildings. That's gotta be it.
Oh God, I know. I should have told you, only bring
Better
long
day.
sleeve clothes here. Glenn, what do you think? Now you're kind of looking at all these different markets.
I won't look in my notes.
You're gonna look at his notes, okay.
Well, we see both, even before COVID, there was a big trend. Illinois was a lot of buyers looking to leave. California was very heavy. Though we want to weight that because you also have to rate the population base of each is different. So, I would say California just because there's so many more people that mathematically it would be several Illinois in population base. But I'd say California. We've seen even before COVID, those have a lot of buyers looking in other parts of the country for lake homes.
And also, by the way, supposedly Kansas is a huge feeder for Texas, I learned recently. But I'm very sad about that because my son lives in California and he won't leave. And I'm actually from Illinois and I left. I'm one of those things. So I do think that this is really exciting. But I'm going to ask you, when do you think the party will be over? I mean, at some point, when do you all, can you predict, or what are you kind of thinking this, I mean, I'm so glad it's going so well and you're so busy, but you must know that at some point, it's probably going to stop, the ball's going to stop. When do you think that will be, Brett?
Well, I kind of touched on this before, but I think I can't tell you that sitting up here on this stage, but what I can tell you and what's proven that works is being fluid with your marketing strategy. I mean, when the whole world shut down, everything was on Zoom, believe it or not, still event-based marketing, but these small, intimate events in person on the ranch proved, dividends that were huge because people still want to get together. But at this beautiful luxury ranch, you could still get together with a small core group of friends outdoors, do a magical experience like a horseback ride up to one of our upper home sites and have a locally purveyed steak dinner with 15 people that were socially distanced. So it's you just have to kind of be fluid. I think we would have to reshift some of the print geofencing retargeting that we do. And I think as long as you can remain fluid in marketing, you'll be successful, hopefully, when it does slow down a little bit.
And I really want to hear what you have to say, Whitney, because you kind of just started this company.
Yeah, I was going to say, I challenge the idea that, the question of when is the party going to stop. I think we're at a new event. And I think that work from home is here to stay. People not only are imagining how they work, but how they do school on a more permanent basis, how they engage with their friends, the types of employment that they're pursuing now and in the future with this flexibility. So I think we will continue to see this is the new normal, and that it's not a trend, it is the future of how people want to have a relationship between their time and their space.
Very good, very good. Stacy, what do you guys think I'm talking?
Just like Brittanny said, I don't think I can sit here and, say in 3.5 years. Our biggest challenge, without knowing that, is building a pipeline of interested prospects while we don't have the inventory, while we're still working on it.
Right. How are you
How do
doing
we
that?
engage them? So, we're being very fluid and flexible in our marketing. Events are very strong in our area, so putting on these signature events each year keeps people engaged and a reason to come back. Having our vacation rental program gives people the opportunity to stay connected with Alys until they're ready to make that purchasing decision. So, that's our challenge, is to keep those people engaged and interested and have them not go off and buy a house somewhere else. So we're trying to be creative and we're trying to be fluid, and we're thinking differently about advertising. We're doing an event in Dallas in March where we're inviting some of our homeowners and have them invite their friends, and we're partnering with a magazine to do this, and we're going to do something in Chicago with another media partner and invite some folks there. So it's just kind of being open to rethinking how we keep people engaged while they're waiting on our product to be released.
So there's always going to be some consumers, some customers out there. Definitely.
I think we're going to find, because we're looking transactional over time, they're selling properties and developing those, which is a different engagement. We're looking on both sides of the transaction, is that this is a demographic that can afford, they're not going to get trapped. During the real estate bust, most foreclosures in these markets were developers, not individuals, because they pay cash. So they're very protected. People during a downturn may actually want to put their money in real estate for a little bit more stability. This isn't going to be the boom bust. So we're really not seeing the party being over. There's people of means will be able to continue to buy, and we just think deal flow is going to continue for a long time. It may rise and fall, but as a brokerage, our job is to solve the imbalance.
Right.
I also wanted to back up to real fast. Last question. I looked in our data.
Oh, good.
For Texas, the top metro areas shopping Texas lakes, and we can do it by lake, is Los Angeles, Denver, Oklahoma City, Chicago, New York, San Francisco.
Wow.
In that order.
Not bad. We had Los Angeles. A lot of people, I guess, want out. Okay, before we leave, I love this idea of each one of you giving the writers out here 2 topics from your experience and your property, some cool things that they might, want to write about.
Okay, I'll kick it off, Candy, but
Thank you.
make it easy. But the changing notion of world class, the
Love
meaning
this.
of world class to luxury buyers, and unique marketing strategies, and how leaning on authentic luxury, even in a post, pandemic market, and creating these ideas of authentic luxury is just so, has been so effective. And so I think that could.
Authentic luxury.
Authentic
I love
luxury.
that. I love that. Whitney.
Hey, we're in a housing inventory crisis. We didn't spend that much time on this panel using that language, but we established we can't invent land.
Right.
And so therefore, we need to come up with more creative solutions to this housing crisis. And so I would say that I would love to have a conversation around what does sustainability in home look like? From ADUs to reimagining zoning to thinking about co-ownership. I think there's really a trend that the future of home ownership will look differently because of this, supply-demand imbalance. So I think that'd be the first. And then the second is, part of the original insight behind Pacaso was that there's all these homes that are sitting empty. People aren't using their second home, 365 days a year. And how does that impact the community? What is the economic impact of vacant second homes? And
That's a
how
good
can
one.
we change the conversation there? So those would be the.
Well, in fact, we're going to go to you next, Stacy, but you just set off the light bulb. So, California has enacted basically no zoning. You can build.
SB 9.
Yes. Yes, thank you. And so I was in California for Thanksgiving, and my daughter-in-law showed me an example of what that looks like in Menlo Park. There was this lot, I want to say it was 100 by 50 or something, and there were 3 homes going up on it. I mentioned this at a conference that I spoke at in Dallas, and someone came to me and said, it's a problem because FHA will not, when they go to sell these, FHA will not guarantee or will not lend on them. So maybe California said it's okay to do all this, density, but when you go to sell it, you might have a problem getting a mortgage for it. So that's something we have to talk about too.
Complex topic. Be great for its
Yes.
own panel.
But Stacy, now it's your turn to tell us.
Okay, so I think one of our biggest challenges, outside of the southeastern market is just awareness of the Florida Panhandle and that there
it's so
are luxury
fabulous.
options available
Fabulous.
there. It's still very laid back. It's a much slower pace. We were just talking earlier today, walking around downtown, and it's just kind of funny to think that we live in the same state because we are the exact opposite of what
Yes.
Miami, the bustling, the activity, the vibrancy. We're laid back, we're coastal, we're casual. We've got a kind of a slow southern approach to things, but we still have those luxury experiences. And so I think just working with you all, Diana will be going around during the Meet the Press session to share the information, but just generating an awareness with new markets and new audiences about the Florida Panhandle itself. And then if you take a look at any of our collateral or our website, I think the story behind the architecture and the sense of place and the design and thinking through every experience, every touch point, down to the smallest detail that goes into the planning of a community like this, I think that would be really interesting.
I think so too. Thank you. And Glenn, I bet you've got a couple.
Yeah, so one approach this one kind of, if you kind of think more of a local city state or versus national. So local city state, we've got lots of data and information. I mentioned these reports. If it's too much nerd stuff, we will love to get on the phone and put it in English. And I actually do that for the national market in the front of this. But on a national, if you're interested in that, we can really give you trending and opportunity of what's happening in directions and what we foresee and forecast that's really, because we've sliced this data very differently, but we can also help you with aspirational, talk to homeowners, why they're buying, why we're not, where we can tap our pool of buyers and sellers. From a local standpoint, it's been very popular in some markets that we've served where the press is engaged, the top 10 lakes, how busy they are in order for a state or for a metro area, people who live in this city, what are their most popular lakes? And I would contend, in the past when I've come here, I've talked to reporters who said, well, we don't have any lakes in our market. No, but you have lake home owners and people who aspire to own lakes who do live. We're seeing right now, tell me about all the lakes in Los Angeles. Those people are trying to come shopping on our website. So if you want to appeal to that rider in a local component, we can help deduce from our data on our website traffic and from the multiple MLSs how we can, if you want to talk with me, Bill Lang's with our PR, we're going to come and meet the press, but we're available. I love talking about this stuff. As you can tell, I do. I have plenty of words.
Thank you. Now, does anyone out there have any words and questions? I see Michael has his hand up for this wonderful panel. Go ahead.
So on the heels of your question before about when the party's over, I'm going to ask it a different way.
Okay.
Not when, but what keeps you up at night going forward? Because when you have
Good.
disruption in markets, whether it be financial, political, real estate, the market always overshoots and then eventually comes back to equilibrium. Is it inflationary rates? Is it lumber costs? Is it labor supply chain issues, land costs? What are the storm clouds out there rising you guys are starting to think about now?
We spend an awful lot of our time talking about labor in the workforce, finding enough people to keep our operations and our amenities and our services not just up to the standard that our homeowners and our guests expect, but just to keep them open. I mean, we've had some real challenging times this past summer, which is our peak season, when we would have to close our owners-only Gulf Front private beach club for dinner service because we literally didn't have enough cooks in the kitchen. So the workforce and labor is a huge concern for us. And then just the supply chain. We also have a big construction company and, just dealing with the subcontractors and getting tile in. And, how do you design this beautiful 5,000 square foot custom home and you can't get the materials you need? So that's a real concern for us as well.
Since we're not building, we're thinking about the likely or possible upheaval of the real estate industry. The buy-side commission law lawsuits. What if the gig economy world, the federal government steps over state law and says all the real estate agents need to be employees instead of 1099? Buy-side commission lawsuits would have huge disruption. We actually designed our business to try to be adaptable to those things. But if you want to talk about what we talk about a lot, it's the change of how real estate brokerages work, which will have a ripple through what everybody up here is doing.
Wow.
Yeah, and just, again, like what Stacy was saying, even in Little Steamboat Springs, Colorado, the supply chain, we're bringing in framing crews from Texas, but then they get to Steamboat, where do they stay? I think we are positioned because we do have some outlying towns and communities where we will rent places and house entire workforces, but there are definitely challenges. When you have this beautiful custom homes, all of our homes are, mountain contemporary, gorgeous, and, windows are, 8 weeks, to even get in line to order them. It's tough. Same thing with appliances. So I think that's going to be going to affect us, but we are also targeting our buyers of such a high net worth. They're not it's not causing us any loss of sales at this point.
Yeah. Oh, can we show some of their beautiful homes again? I don't know if I have the master control or not, but we'll try. I don't think I do. Anyhow, any other questions? Yes.
Just one last one from Whitney. What's the average investment of your?
There we go. Thank you.
Pacaso, and what's the average house price?
Sure. So we have homes across 30 markets, 30 destinations. On average today, our share price is around $500,000, which means the whole home is around $3 million. And all of our purchase price includes, as I said, full, professional, gorgeous interior design, art, everything you need in the kitchen to make Thanksgiving dinner, incredibly well appointed.
And maintenance as well?
Yes.
Maintenance. Mm-hmm. Do you have to pay any yearly dues or anything?
We do. We have a $99 a month fee, which covers the platform technology, and otherwise all costs are passed along to the owner's pro rata. So if it's, you get transparency with the receipt, and it's just divided by 8. So sort of nice when, something goes wrong, as things always do, tree falls or something,
Yeah.
you're able to share the cost with your fellow owners.
Yeah, to do that. And how many owners do you have in the program yet?
We have across dozens of states. We have hundreds of owners at Pacaso, and then thousands of people who've been through the homes and enjoyed stays, and then now at this point millions who've been exposed to the brand through our marketing efforts over the last year.
Very good. Thank you. Oh, yes.
About Pacaso. This is a shared ownership.
It is.
These friends and family or anybody that wants to buy a share?
Great question. So core to our business model is that you don't have to know that it's anonymous by design. And why that's important is because think about your personal friends. If you were to buy just with your friend group, number one, you have to then manage the relationships with the folks of all the different decisions from design to financing to the legal terms. But also it's pretty hard to get together 8 of your people in your personal network who want to buy the same type of home at the same time as you. And so we aggregate buyers, and then the ownership group is intentionally anonymous. And Pacaso serves as the property manager and program manager for the LLC. And we have, through our app, a really structured process for communicating with a local home manager, submitting requests. If you want a bedroom to have bunk beds and it currently has queen beds, it would the system would propose a vote to the fellow owners. And so it's all taken care of for you. The only personal, the relationship you maintain is with your local home manager and not with the fellow owners.
Interesting. Well, we have a beach house that is sort of like a family timeshare, and it drives me crazy because, someone will bring in their dogs or cats, and then the other person doesn't like the cat hair and freaks out about it. So I can see where this could lead to many problems.
It's helpful. The structure is helpful.
Yes, it is. It is great. And I think that the other interesting thing about what you're doing is it can be applied, and it will be applied in the future, as you said, and indicated in the future stories ideas. What about shared real home ownership too? That could be, coming down the pike, right?
We have a handful of owners who have purchased multiple Pacasos, and they're jumping from Pacaso to Pacaso and enjoying many different communities.
Just loving that. Now, can you share can you, if you have a home, say in Napa, and you want to go to Lake Tahoe, can you flip
No, so
No,
your ownership
okay.
is to your specific property where you purchased, and we also don't allow short-term rentals. So it's really for people who want to be a part of the community and care about that home in that neighborhood.
Gotcha. Thank you.